this where we had our variable being divided by some number. So here we have like x divided by -3. Here we have a very similar situation, except we have our variable being multiplied by a fraction. So we're going to show what we do in this situation. So solving equations that have a fraction in front of the variable. Okay. So I'm just gonna do like 2/3 x plus 1 equals 4. Okay. So this is a little different. So, but the cool thing is it actually starts out totally the same way. This is a multi-step equation. We want to get x by itself. So we have this 2/3 times x plus 1 equals 4. So the first thing we want to do, this side has our x on it, and there's being this 1 that's being added to it. So first thing we want to do is just subtract the 1 like we used to before. So we're going to subtract 1 on each side. And so I didn't do anything with this 2/3 x, so I'm just going to rewrite it here. 1 minus 1 is 0, so I don't need to write that. And then 4 minus 1 is 3. So now I have this 2/3 x. So there's kind of like two ways we can think about it. And so I'm going to take it through maybe the way that makes more sense, the way we've been doing it before first. And so we have this 2x. Actually, no. I'll just teach you this one way. So the way, we need to get rid of this 2/3 x, right? So, and it's being multiplied here, right? So kind of when we have a number that's being multiplied by a fraction, we do the thing that we normally do. We actually do just divide this by 2/3 is what we're doing. But this looks really weird, right? We have a fraction being divided. So we have a fraction of fractions, right? So this is like really a lot of division going on here. And so basically I want to show you something that is identically equivalent to this idea of 2/3 being divided by 2/3. And so an easier way to write that, and I'm going to rewrite this step here, 2/3 x equals 3. A way to cancel out fractions is to multiply it. So remember yesterday how we talked about the reciprocal and how the reciprocal of, so the reciprocal of 2/3 is 3/2. So reciprocal of a fraction is just when we take the numerator and the denominator and just flip it. So now we have 3/2. So a way to basically cancel out a fraction is to multiply it by its reciprocal. And since we multiplied this side by 3/2, we multiplied this side by 3/2. And so the reason this works, right? So this cancels, it turns out. So let's talk about why this cancels. So let's just do the multiplication. So when we multiply two fractions, we just multiply our numerators and multiply our denominators. So 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 3 is 6. Then this is still being multiplied by this x. And 3 times 3 is 9. And that's kind of like a 1, so like 1 times 2 is 2. So look what happened here. We have this 6 over 6, right?
Correct.
Which is 1. So this is why multiplying by the reciprocal always works.
It looks confusing.
So
it's like way more steps.
So yeah, and so what we're just learning is just, and we don't have to write down all these steps,
It's
right?
mainly simplifying. It's like simplifying with fraction and like division and stuff. No,
So-
like stuff like that.
So yeah, and so really,
It's just like finding that variable by itself.
so something else we could have done, and it's the same exact thing. It's just we write it down in more steps. Is we could have just, we had this 2 divided by 3. We could just multiply both sides by 3. These cancel. So then we have 2x equals 9, and we could divide it by 2. X equals 9/2. Same answer.
Okay.
So you could do it step by step. You could multiply by the 3 and then divide by the 2. But it's probably good to get in the habit of realizing if you have this 2/3 x equals 9. It's probably easier just to knock it all out in one step and learn this rule that when you multiply a fraction by its reciprocal, the answer is just 1. So, and the reason it's 1 is because the top and the bottom will always be the same number, right? Because since you're putting this number on top and this number on bottom, you'll always have just whatever you're multiplying on the top will just be the reverse of what you're multiplying on the bottom. So like 3 times 2, 2 times 3. These will, when you multiply the reciprocal, you'll always get the same number on the top and the bottom, which means it'll always equal 1. And so that's why multiplying by reciprocal cancels.
Okay.
Yeah, so whenever you have a fraction next to a variable, you just want to multiply that fraction by its reciprocal and then make sure you do it on both sides.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So let's go ahead and give that a try.